Hey there, new types. ST09 released, and with it, we've got brand new cards being injected directly into the meta, with Shin, a new pilot, and the Impulse Gundam, as well as brand new Freedom and Savior Gundams. All cards that are quite hyped and already being tested. This weekend marked the start of a week of release events in which you can win a set of promos, with the big prize being the Orb and the Strike Rouge EX base. This video is going to be a bit different as it is more of a highlight of what one color combination can do, and as a bit of a spoiler, my chosen color combination is purple-white. Now, ST09 is a special set released during GDO3 Steel Requiem. It features a deck consisting of 28 purple cards accompanied by 22 white and 22 red cards that you can choose between in order to finalize your deck. Red is supported by Athranzala, a pilot we already have, paired with old Zaft units and a brand new, very cool LR, the Savior Gundam. White is led with a powerful pilot, Kirayamato, another pilot we're very familiar with, paired with the Strike and Buster Gundam, along with a brand new Freedom Gundam. I'm not going to break down the deck lists here, as they will not change beyond the colors you decide to pair with your purple block. Instead, I'll let the gameplay showcase my chosen color and then talk about why at the end of the video. Big shout out to my local game stores and community of players that allow me to record these videos of my gameplay and upload them here to YouTube for you. I'd also like to give a nod to the wonderful community of content creators here on YouTube that I interact with almost daily. I really enjoy the players here, and the community has been fantastic to get to know. If you're interested in those content creators, take a look down in the description. They will be linked. As always, if the gameplay doesn't interest you, you can skip it and head straight to the Yap for some detailed explanations. I don't mind, I'm just glad you clicked on the video at all. If you're enjoying my content, consider giving the video a like and the channel a subscribe. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, leave them below. I read all of them and do my very best to reply. But that's enough preamble. Let's get this game started. Alrighty, I started my recording a little late on this, but I'd already mulliganed. I did win the dice roll, so I am going second here. My opponent mulliganed as well. My opening hand was a pair of Busters, an Overflowing Affection, Shinn, and the Archangel. It's not the worst thing to mulligan into. This format is, I'd say, not slow, but it's not fast either. It's starter decks, right? So you can generally afford to take the first couple turns off. Your opponent doesn't usually get too far ahead unless they happen to open like triple Zaku Warrior or something crazy like that. Opponent plays a resource, passes the turn. I get my resource, draw a Sword Impulse, which is great for my Overflowing Affection here, because I do end up pitching that Sword Impulse. Opponent plays a Zaku Warrior. I do the same here. I pass my turn. Opponent plays an Overflowing Affection of his own, so I assumed he top decked that. Throws away another Overflowing Affection, which kind of gives me a tell that his hand is kind of decent. Takes a swing at my base for 2 damage, and then passes the turn. I drew the Force Impulse, which is pretty good considering I have a Shinn in hand. It's a pretty straightforward turn here, so I just dropped down a Buster Gundam, and I believe I trade our Zaku Warriors here. Just doing some early preemptive board control. Especially since there's no way I'm breaking his EX base this turn, so. Opponent opens up with a Minerva. Gets a shield to his hand. And then looks at the top 2. Discards a Zaku warrior and places the other card back on the top of his deck. Debates something for 2 here, but then ultimately goes for the giant killing on my Buster. Now that I do have a sword impulse in the graveyard, I'm pretty confident just throwing out Force impulse here with a Shin and eating his Minerva. And I do get to stand a resource because of the Shin swing, which is nice because I do have an unforeseen incident in hand, which means I can protect my Force impulse. Opponent spends 2 to play a strike, draws a card, and discards another Zaku warrior. Plays out a sword impulse, and then throws a Shin on it. And at this point, he does debate whether or not he's taking my EX base or he's going to take my impulse, my Force impulse, rather. And he does decide to go for my Force impulse, which allows me to bring my sword impulse back from the trash to my hand. And then he passes the turn over to me. I drew another sword impulse. So I just opt to play both. Keeping in mind that this is actually our round 4, and we are playing for the Orb EX base promo. This plays a Force Impulse, cracks my EX base with the strike, and then breaks a shield with the Force Impulse. And then doing so allows him to restand a resource and play out a strike, which he discards a Buster for. And he's a he's a chill guy. I'm not gonna make him. I'm not gonna punish him for that miss sequence, even though generally you probably should, in fairness. But I kind of consider these ST events fairly casual, even though we are at the high stakes round at round 4, playing for the resort or the base. I take a swing at a shield. I play a sword strike, or not sword strike. I just play the strike. My bad. Um, Discarding a Buster. I play another strike, drawing a Shin, and I ditched the Archangel here because I'm not a big fan of that, and I didn't really want to use it. So now that I have more information with my hand here, I debate what I'm going to do with my Sword Strike, and it is taking out his Force Impulse, which gets him his own Sword Impulse. I called it a Sword Strike. I'm dumb. I play Kira onto my strike and attack his strike, only taking 1 damage, which is a pretty good trade. Or it's not even a trade, sorry. It's a pretty good eat. All right, so he sends the strike into my strike, but I deploy my unforeseen incident here. And I know he's got a sword impulse in hand. Which he just played. And then he plays another Force Impulse. So I take a swing with my strike, I hit an unforeseen incident. This is why sequencing matters. I hit him with my sword impulse, and then I hit him with my other strike, bringing him down to one shield. Kind of going in for the kill here, but I do pass my turn because I'm holding a Kira in hand, Shin in hand, and an awakened power. Sorry, which means I do have a unit I can link next turn if I absolutely need to. Gives me a lot of options. So he is basically stuck on board control no matter what. He takes out my paired or linked strike, and then takes out my sword impulse. Then he plays the freedom with Kira to eat my strike, only taking 1 damage in the process. However, yeah, he passes a turn, and then I draw the impulse, which, if there's no base in that shield, I've basically got game in hand now. It does take me a little bit to count it out, but there's my impulse. There's Shin. Shin will take a swing, and it's not a base, so I'm able to go and play Awaken Potential, bringing out a strike, drawing a strike, discarding the strike, and playing Kira for the win. Kirayamato, my lord and savior. And with that, I do get myself the Strike Rouge EX base. All right. So, as you can see, that was a purple-white mirror match. And honestly, I think that was probably one of my more difficult matchups because my purple-red matchup as purple-white was not threatening at all. It was really hard to pick the matches I had that looked good, and honestly, the purple white, which was our round 4 finals match, um, to really showcase like the deck doing anything more than just kind of steamrolling the inconsistencies. Um, Now this is a starter deck format, right? Like this is not a deck you're probably ever gonna play again. They are very basic. Everyone knows what they have. It's quote unquote open deck list, right? Effectively, once you identify your opponent's color, you know what they have, and once they identify yours, they know what you have. So it's nothing special. It's 22 red, 22 white cards, and you choose either of those, and you have your 28 purple cards that support that. Now, I personally think purple white is the better option here. As you can see, I chose that. I won my EX base with it. My extra pack ended up being the Blitz Gundam EX base, but the reason I chose white is because it plays consistent. Um, just looking at the basic card layout, you Impulse wants things in the trash. So being able to have things in the trash because of Strike and Overflowing Affection, I feel like is already a big deal, and this allows you to do it pretty early in the game. I actually had a game where I just was able to play Impulse on curve followed by Strike and getting a sword impulse into the bin and then pulling it out after I swung and broke the EX base with my impulse. Um, it's things like that that really that like I feel is important for an event like this, and I understand that the ST09 release event isn't exactly like the sweatiest or most competitive thing, but people are generally there to win. My meta, people understood their deck list. They knew what they were doing, and of course, you had people who were having fun. I was there having fun as well. Um, but I did want the the EX base, right? I'm a collector, I'm competitive, and I do feel that white was the better choice. The other thing is, um, white doesn't really have like the white color in the cards don't really have any dead cards, so to speak. Um, if you play strike, you should in general, be filtering at least the bare minimum. You're drawing a card, discarding a card. A lot of the time, you should be able to discard an impulse of some sort, just to kind of get there. If not, you can get rid of something that you don't need, like I don't know, an Archangel base or like an extra Minerva in your hand or something like that, right? It lets you filter. The other thing is, if you look at red, you have cards like Battle of Aces and Blitz, and the major thing that I really dislike about red is Blitz kind of basically requires two cards as an investment to be really functional. As you read it, is when you deploy, if you have an AP 5 or higher unit, you can give it first strike. In order to achieve that, if you pair Atherin with a pilot on a unit on your board, um, if it's a lot of the time you're going to have to pump it with Vesalius, or you're going to have to put it on a 4 AP unit, like the impulse, right? The sword impulse, and then play the blitz. So that requires a little bit of standing around, a little bit extra, all these extra things. Um, and or you're putting, maybe a shinn on the duel, which is pretty cool, but you're basically throwing two cards to potentially not even breach a base. And it's important to note that yes, breach is really good, but we are playing in a deck format that has six bases. So a lot of the time, your opponent's going to have a base out, and it might even be full health because of the way this game, you're trading units into each other for board control. There's not a lot of, um, I suppose, efficient card advantage here, unless you happen to be able to, maybe get like the sword impulse out to kill a level 3 unit or lower. A lot of the times, you're going to be sending a unit on board to take care of your opponent's unit and kind of hoping they stumble. And where that matters is the mid late game, where you almost always get there. You almost always get to the mid late game, and to a degree, you're top decking. And I did not like the fact that you would be top decking cards like Battle of Aces. I personally think Battle of Aces, is really bad in this format. I think it's most of the times a dead card because of the way things trade. Um, or you're finishing off something for 1 HP, which again, that's not bad because we're playing kind of an inefficient starter deck, but it's not really a card you want. A lot of the times when you get to these mid late game top deck moments, you're drawing a Battle of Aces and unable to make use of it. And I think that's just really bad. It's not where you want to be. My opponent top decked a Battle of Aces when he needed literally anything else, like a unit or maybe an overflow. If it had been like white, he would have had basically anything. But Battle of Aces was just a completely dead card. Um, and I found that a lot of the time when I was testing it, that was the case. I found very few times when Battle of Aces was actually relevant, except when I was using Kira and I had damage on a unit from minusing two onto another strike, like you saw in the video, and I had one damage on it. However, when those come up, it's not often. A lot of the times, you're just getting things traded into before those become relevant. Um, the other thing I'd say is the consistency and filtering of your hand in white makes these mid late games better because you can kind of reasonably take into account uh how many cards you have in your deck left, right? Like if you're mid late, you're at like 20 cards left. um, you will generally be able to play something like Strike, and hopefully, maybe you'll be able to get your freedom that you need, right? Um, there's almost none of that ability in Red, and uh, if you have an Atherin in hand, you might not draw one of your two saviors, and a lot of the times, those two saviors, you're at the mercy of a strict top deck rather than the ability to dig with strikes or overflowing affection. And while I will agree that a lot of time you can high roll with red, I don't think it's worth trying to high roll in red when white can almost do it just as well. All you need to do is hit your Zaku warriors and your impulse. And honestly, because you have the white cards to do it, you could do a chain where it's overflowing affection into impulse, into strike. Like you have a better chain in the early game for the high roll, and then basically just on curve dropping a Kira in a freedom and winning the game outright. But I think that's about all I need to really say. It's like a 9-minute explanation. Um, that being said, I have again I've seen people with purple red win. I'm not saying it's awful. I just think that if you are trying to win these things, I think white is going to be your best bet, especially if you're a solid player and you understand the matchups, especially when you know your opponent only has two saviors. You know how to make use of your unforeseen incidents, your Kiras, knowing when to drop them, not being overly aggressive. And if you can manage to do that, I think you can manage to win yourself an EX base. So, with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.